What's up, fishing fanatics? So I decided, since I haven't updated you guys on these little fellows in almost 2 weeks, I'd show you what's going on in the shrimp tank. So this is the one that's upstairs that has been breeding like absolute crazy. So let me get in here and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. You can see that a majority of the babies that we had are very good size now. And you can also see there are a ton of little guys that are newer. And these, aside from the ram's horn snail mess, which we have to clean completely up yet, are going absolutely crazy. So there's little ones, there's little ones, there's little ones. Back in here you can see there's bigger ones, there's a male poking his head out to say hi. But I mean, this tank is now completely 100% littered with shrimp as well as babies. And I'm trying to get, very unsuccessfully I might add, there's a little guy on here, and I'm trying to get a good view of him so that you can kind of see, but it's proving to be quite the challenge. But there's a really little guy that's like right here, and he's not showing up. I'm assuming it's a he, at least. But yeah, there's tons and tons and tons of ram's horns in here too. Like there's all these babies, which these are all gonna, let me zoom out here and you can see a little bit better. But there's all these babies, ram's horn babies everywhere, which are gonna get pulled out, gutted, and a majority of these are gonna end up downstairs in the guppy tank because they're gonna be used for puffer food. But we started off, if you've watched any of the series or if you have paid any attention to the shrimp series that we got that's been kind of going on, you will know that we started off with 19. That was the number that we got, was 19. From 19, we now have, well, I would say well over 200 plus. So there's that. We have the tank set up downstairs in the fish room. This one will be joining them pretty soon. But you can also see what's pretty crazy, in my opinion, is the amount of growth in this tank. And nothing new has been added to this. This is all original. There's the Java moss, the Rotali rotundra, and there's some water sprite back there. More Java moss, more Java moss, more Java moss. We put 3 small clumps in here, and it's taken over most of the tank at this point, which is a really good thing because we need the Java moss for the tanks downstairs too. But it's just been absolutely crazy to see these guys just, I mean, breed and breed and breed and breed and breed. And we got some monster ram's horns in here too, which is interesting to say the very least. But what's going to happen is we're going to go through this and we're going to gut out a lot of the snails that are in here. Like I said, they're going to end up downstairs for puffer food, which is perfectly fine for me. There's another little one floating around right there. Barely see him. Where did he go? Huh. Disappeared on me already when it was focusing. But there's literally, I mean, the tank is littered with just hundreds and hundreds of babies now. There's one just going to town feeding. And it's insane to think that we started off with 19 and this was a few months ago. So, yeah, they're all doing really, really well. We've had 0 losses that I'm aware of. I mean, it's been absolutely amazing to see how fast these things can just, I mean, take over a tank. And it's great. I love it. Every second of it. It's just crazy to think that, 2 months ago we had a couple and now we are way over a couple. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get it, but I'm going to try. There is a super duper 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 tiny baby right there. Right in the middle of the screen. Brand new baby. Brand new baby. So we're still getting even more in here, which is just crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's insane to think what you can get to when you start with a few, have a little bit of patience, and you wait and do it right. You set the tank up. We let this tank cycle for 2 months. We set it up and let it run and run and run and run and run and did water changes on it and, just let it run. And we started to get some plants in here and we added a couple of decorations after, and then we added a lot more plants, and now they're everywhere. They are absolutely everywhere. And it's crazy to see the progress that this tank has made. I mean, even the ram spark snails are just way out of control. There wasn't very many in here at all to begin with. It's like the 60. I mean, the 60 is completely over-inhabited with them at this point too, which slowly getting rid of them. But there's very, very little fertilizer used in this tank. It's low light. The plants are doing really, really well. It's only had a water change in the last 2 months. Last 2 months since we've gotten the shrimp, actually. It's been running for 3 months now. It's hard to believe that. But, almost 4. But yeah, in the last 2 months, it's had 1 water change. And that's it. So, you don't have to change the water in here for shrimp as often as you do fish. I mean, if you have just the standard cherries or, a lot of the Neocaridina species are very low maintenance as long as you get the water parameters correct and they have plants, they're good to go. You got to make sure that they're well established with food, obviously. So letting the tank run for an extended amount of time to build up bacteria and little parasites and stuff, and just basic like food that the shrimp can munch on and the baby shrimp can munch on is a very, very ideal thing to do. Which is the exact same thing we did with the 10-gallon downstairs that has the Bloody Marys in it. We let that thing cycle for quite some time too before we put anything in there. It cycled for almost 2 months as well. But you want to build up moss and algae and little bacterias so that the shrimp and the baby shrimp have stuff to graze on all the time because they eat constantly. I mean, it's just a constant feeding frenzy. And you can see, if it'll focus, there you go. You've got 3, 4, 5 shrimp in this one shot, and every one of them is eating. Just going and going and going. That's what they do. They eat a lot. So you have to make sure the tank's established enough to be able to sustain that type of a behavior, a feeding behavior, because they're very, very hardy creatures, but at the same time, they're also very fragile. If you don't do it just right, you can lose shrimp. But if you do it right and you take the time and you put in the effort that it takes to get it going, once it's done, very little maintenance is required. And on top of that, they will breed like crazy. So just make sure you're taking the time to do it right. I mean, you can see this is one cluster. I mean, this alone is over 20 shrimp. And you can see that there's big ones in there. It's not just little guys. There are some really good sized shrimp in here. That's essentially what we started with. I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely insane to think. We started with a pile that was about that big, maybe a little bit smaller, and now you have that, all of these guys over here on the filter, all of these guys up in the moss, all along the bottom, all along the bottom, all along the bottom. It just keeps going. Way more up here in this moss. I mean, there's easily 200 shrimp in here at this point. So we gotta finish getting the tanks downstairs cycled and start moving probably, I'd say probably 60 of these guys out. We're gonna probably do like 30 in each startup colony, I think, downstairs, and give us a good running start. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. In the last update did show you that we picked up a couple more tanks, but we've also currently finished setting up, I want to say it is 8 of the 20 longs. So they should be done hopefully relatively soon here, and we can move as many as needed into them right now. And there is another colony that will be started that is not cherry shrimp within the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. If even that long, we'll see. It's hard to say. But we will be moving away from cherry shrimp as well, since this is as established as we need it to be, and we have enough in here to get more colonies of these guys going. And we're going to pull out the best and the brightest of the females and the males, obviously, when we're doing this. And there is a very, very healthy selection of these guys, because a lot of these, if you haven't noticed, are just beautiful coloring. I mean, absolutely beautiful coloring. So we will be setting up more colonies of these guys. We are moving into another species, another variety of the Neocaridinias. And I still have my 40 breeder that is actually going to start getting work done, hopefully within the next week. So stay tuned for that. I haven't revealed what I'm putting in there yet. I will tell you it's not cichlids. That's all I'm going to tell you at this point. It's something that is a little bit different, that you don't see as often as you would think. I find them to be very, very cool. Not everybody does, which I understand, but yeah, just stay tuned for that, because that's going to be coming pretty soon as well, I hope. I definitely want to start getting the tank work done in the next week or so and getting it set up. And we also have to finish up the plumbing downstairs to get the air lines running and figure out what our next step from there is going to be, because we do plan on also setting up sumps and having, there's an example of one of those bright red ones. Contemplating on setting up a auto water change system in sumps as well for a lot of the tanks, just to help reduce the maintenance time, since we're getting into, so many tanks. But yeah, for now, that's about it, guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or even suggestions, let me know in the box below. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and share. Please get this out there, and let's get some more people into the fish keeping hobby. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, happy fish keeping.